Hi everybody. I did a video the other day talking about education and things and how it's changed since I was a kid at school. And what I want to talk to, or what I'd like to talk to you about today, is how you should never ever stop trying to learn new skills. Now, I did say that when I left school, I went straight in the army. And I was 15 years old. But one of the things that we did in the army was 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, we used to have education. So we used to go to the education block, and we did a year where we did education, and we did things like maths, English, and the stuff that we needed to be engineers in the army. And it was it was really weird because I thought I've not come in the army to learn this kind of stuff. I've come in the army to learn other things, how to shoot rifles and blow shit up and things like that. And anyway, it was only when I got into it a little bit that I started to realise that it was something that was worthwhile doing, because instead of having a classroom of 30 people where the teacher was really stretched if he needed any help, we used to have a class, oh, this radiator's getting bloody hot. We used to have a class of about 7 or 8, and so the civilian educators that were there, I'll not call them teachers, I don't know if I imagine they were qualified teachers, but the educators that were there had time to spend if you were struggling with anything. They'd come along and they would help you. And then once we started, once we'd finished the education after that first year, we started moving on to other types of education, the education that the army needed us to have. Once we'd learnt the basics, the English, the maths, and all that kind of stuff, we started moving on to the stuff that the army needed us to have, the military skills. I mean, we did some on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Friday, but that was mostly learning how to march and drill and look after your uniform, look after yourself, look after your accommodation where you was living and all that kind of stuff, and getting you mentally prepared for the rigours of army life. And after that first year, we started on the other things. We started learning how to build bridges. We started learning about landmines. We learned how to, we'd already done a little bit of shooting, but we learned how to shoot different kinds of weapons and things like that. So we were educated that way. Then once I left boys service and I went in the regulars, we also had the opportunity to do more education if you wanted. And I did a medics course, so I could be a medic. God, it's getting bloody hot, that radiator. It's burning me bloody arm. So I did a medics course, so I could be more than a first aider. I could be a medic out in the field, and all that kind of stuff. And then when I was 18, I went for the selection for 9 Independent Parachute Squadron. It was independent then. 9 Independent Parachute Squadron of the engineers, and I learnt other skills. I learnt, of course, I learnt how to parachute and look after my kit and, all my parachuting equipment and what I needed to do before we went and what we needed to do after we'd actually parachuted out of the aeroplane and all the other things. And we also learnt advanced infantry tactics, because an engineer can also be an infantryman. And we found that out when we went to Ireland. We went out as an infantry unit rather than an engineering unit. So you know, we were constantly learning new things while we were in the army. Then when I come out of the army, I went down the coal mine for a very short while, and my dad says, I don't like you working down the pit. And he was a driving instructor by then. He'd finished on the ambulance service and he was a driving instructor. And he said, right, let me train you up to be a driving instructor. So, you know, I used to sit in the back of the car while my dad was taking lessons, and then once I'd learned how he was teaching things and how he was putting things through to pupils and things like that, then he'd sit in the back and he'd listen to me, and then at the end of the lesson he'd say, well, that was good, that was okay. When you was doing that right turn or that roundabout, I would have perhaps put it in a different way. I would have done it like this, or I would have done it like that. So I was still receiving education. And then I decided that I did want education, and I went to university and I did an engineering degree. I did 4 years and come out with a master's degree in engineering. So by this time, I mean, my youngest daughter was born, and my wife was pregnant with my second daughter. So I was like, well, probably be about 37, 30, now I'd be older than that. I'd be getting on for 40. I might even have been older than that. I can't remember how old I was. I was getting on a bit anyway. I wasn't a young man. And I'm going to have to pack this vaping things in. It's making me cough. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I was no longer a young man, and I was still in education. Now, I know in my last video I was saying that kids are in education till they're 19 or 20 years old. My education was a different kind of education. My education was life skills education, and not sat in a classroom education. My education until I went to university was the skills I needed to survive, skills I needed to get along in the world. And even when I was at university, I used to do 28 hours of lectures and tutorials a week, and I used to do 30 hours a week lorry driving. So it wasn't like I was just doing education and then going out on the piss like all the young students there, you know, like the 20, 21-year-olds. I was doing my education, and then I was working. Now, once I'd started with the engineering, while I was still there, I did a lot of agency work, lorry driving. And I thought to myself, oh, right, I'm going to start my own agency up. So I started my own agency up, and I ended up with about 20 people working for me on a driving agency. And then I thought to myself, you know, there's a lot of work that's coming our way that's they're sending a vehicle out. I know I'm stammering a bit. I'm just trying to think of the best way to put it forward. They were sending my drivers out in a great big Arctic or a 17, 18-ton truck with 2 or 3 pallets on the back of chilled or frozen stuff. So I thought, oh, use your noggin here a little bit. And I went out and I bought a small Mercedes van, fridge van. And then I started ringing round for work for the fridge van. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I ended up with quite a few vehicles, from 3.5-ton Mercedes transit type vehicles up to Arctics. But my problem was that I couldn't get the drivers. So I thought, well, why not use a skill that I've already got and advance that skill and try and teach other people. So I offered people that come along that I thought was worth training the training to drive HGV vehicles, and I taught them to drive lorries and things like that. And anyway, to cut a long story short, somebody went bankrupt, owing me a hell of a lot of money, and it took us under. And so I started working for somebody else once again. You know, you build yourself up, somebody comes along, kicks your leg from underneath you, and you have to start again. I started again. And I started teaching people to drive for somebody else until I got enough money and I bought my own vehicle, and then once again off we went. And then I was given the opportunity to do a forklift course. So I did a forklift course, and then after a while, this company that I was doing work for offered me the opportunity to become a fork truck instructor, so I did that. And then I was not just teaching people to drive lorries, I was teaching people to drive fork trucks. And then the opportunity to come along to do a course on a high arb, and a course on a cherry picker, and a course on a scissor lift, and a vast array of other machinery. So I kept taking these courses. Now I remember somebody saying to me one day, I was talking to one of the other instructors stood outside on a fag break, and one of the students was saying, "Oh, when I finish this course, I'm going to a pub and I'm going to go out and get pissed and all this and other." And he said to me and my mate Vic, he says, "What are you two going to do?" And I said, "Well, Saturday and Sunday I'm on a course because I'm going to learn to do so-and-so, whatever it was, I can't remember what it was." And Vic says, "Yeah, I'm doing a course to learn to do this and that and the other so I can teach it." And he turned around and he said, "Oh, it's all right for you two, you've got the money to be able to go out and do this." And I said, "We've got the money to be able to go out and do this because we're not going out Friday night and blowing all our cash game pissed. You know, we're saving our money so that we can advance ourselves and so we can educate ourselves." And, you know, it took him by surprise a little bit, and it was like, oh, I think a bit of a light's going on here. You know, if I don't go out and get pissed and I save my money, then I can do the same as these two are doing, you know, and advance myself. But he still went out and got pissed anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is that you should never ever stop educating yourself, and you should never ever stop learning. When I started making these videos, I had no idea how to edit a video or set a camera up and everything else. I had to learn how to do all this. I'm 68 years old now. I can speak reasonable Spanish. My Spanish is not bad. And I'm learning Egyptian Arabic. So at 68 years old, I'm still trying to educate myself. I'm still learning. And that's what you need to do in life. You need to keep learning. I was talking to an old school pal of mine, and he said to me, he says, I work down at Bachelor's in town. He says, I'm a supervisor there now. I've been a supervisor there for 10 years. I've worked there for X number of years, and I've got a caravan at Skeggy, and come Friday we jump in car and we go to caravan at Skeggy every weekend, come back Sunday night, or if we've got a bank holiday weekend or whatever, you know, we go down there. And I thought, well, yeah, that's all right if that's what you want to do, but you're doing nothing new. You're doing nothing to improve your life. You're doing nothing to advance yourself. All you're doing is you've reached a plateau and you've stuck on that plateau, and you're not going any further. You're not reaching for anything. You've no targets in front of you. You're just quite happy to drive to Skeggy, have a few beers on a Friday and Saturday night, and come back on a Sunday. And I'm afraid I'm not that kind of person. And I thought to myself, and I know it sounds horrible, but I thought to myself, your life's over now. because that's all you're going to do for the rest of your life until you're either too old and infirm to be able to do it, or something happens and, you know, unfortunately you pass away. And that's your plan for the rest of your life. I'm 68 years old and I've still got plans and I've still got things that I need to do. And I've got a bucket list that's like this long, you know, of things that I want to do. I don't want to do Monday or Friday at work and then go and spend weekend in a caravan. I mean, I know some people do. You know, they want to do, they like the same thing all the time. But the people that get on in this world are the people that try and improve themselves, try and educate themselves, rather than reaching a plateau and staying there, and that's it. I could not do that. I really couldn't do that. I'm starting now. I'm looking for property now, and I'm going to buy the worst house on the best street and do it up and sell it. And then once I've done that, then I'm going to do that with the next one. So even at 68 years old, I'm still, and it's a skill I've got to learn. I've got to learn a lot of things to be able to do this. I'm still educating myself and I'm still pushing forwards all the time, and I'll keep pushing forwards all the time until physically or mentally I can't do it anymore. So the point I'm trying to make is that don't think that education is nothing. Don't think that somebody who's trying to educate themselves or learn a new skill is silly or daft or it's a waste of time just because they're over 50 years old, over 60 years old. It's not. It keeps your mind sharp. It gives you something to do. It gives you goals and targets for your life, for the rest of your life. And the things I'm doing now will help my kids when I'm not here any longer. Because I'm trying to make, not an empire, but I'm trying to make something that is worth leaving behind for my kids. And the only way I can do that is to keep learning and to keep studying. So, I mean, when I was at school, I wasn't interested in education or studying and things like that. And things have worked out for me. Okay. And I've had my legs kicked from under me quite a few times. But I'm resilient enough to start again. And just keep going and going and going. And if something happens that knocks you down, I get up and I have another go. And I'm always thinking of things that I can do to improve my life and improve the life of my family. And that's what education's all about. Education's not about maths and English and trigonometry and all that kind of stuff. Education is about learning skills and life skills. So if you get the chance to learn something new, and it obviously is something that you're interested in, then my advice is to go for it. Don't sit back and say, yeah, but I've got to put an effort in that. And, you know, make the effort, do it. Have a go. I mean, even if you don't like it, at least if you have a go, you've had a go. So, anyway, that's about it for this video. I've rabbited on long enough. I've kind of hope I've passed a few words of wisdom on to you. If I have and you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, please share, please subscribe, and guess what? I'll see you there in the next one. Bye everybody, see you soon.